Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am the Amoeba Bait, and today I'm going to be telling you a number of my favourite things about video games. Now this isn't going to be me talking about my top 5 favourite games or anything like that. Rather, I'll just be talking about the industry as a whole, as I believe now more than ever it's important to remember why video games are so special. So, without further ado, let's crack on with my top 5 reasons why games are awesome. The technological advancement of video games is nothing short of amazing. Starting with basic games such as Pong and Pac-Man, we've seen games and gaming hardware evolve over time to become the enormous thing that it is today. The Xbone and the PS4 are now not only gaming consoles, but also Blu-ray players, and a means to browse the internet. Not to mention the fact that games are now portable. The Game Boy, the Vita, and the DS are all examples of the amazing way in which gaming devices are constantly being reimagined. The 3DS has brought with us a three-dimensional gaming experience, and even now, work is being put into the Oculus Rift and other virtual reality devices. Touchpads, motion trackers, voice command, these things all have a place on certain gaming platforms, which demonstrates the innovative and creative ways that the gaming industry is advancing. It's not only the games and hardware itself that have evolved over time, but also the means of distribution. XBLA, PSN, and the Nintendo eShop are all examples of changes in the way games are sold, making them more accessible now than more than ever. The internet also allowed patches for bugs and balance, as well as community-made mods made by fans for games of all shapes and sizes. Personally, I'm constantly looking forward to which new game is coming up next, just to see how they push the envelope and see what new things they can bring to the table. Games are, like film or a good book, a platform for expression. And a good game developer takes every opportunity to express their creativity and show to the world the interesting way in which they make games, be it through an interesting control mechanic like in Flower, an intricate story like in the Metal Gear franchise, to showcase their unique art style like in JoJo's All-Star Battle, or simply just to put a different take on an established genre like Dive Kick. Games are not only creative tools just for the devs, but for the player too. Despite having a main story arc, open world RPGs like Morrowind and Fallout have a wealth of things for the player to do, making each venture into the world a unique experience. Even games with no real story to speak of, such as Minecraft and Terraria, give the player all the creative freedom they could want. Build a castle and defend it from zombies, kill the final boss, or simply explore. The choice lies with the player. Games can also be used to tackle important themes and convey a message. Games like Spec Ops: The Line and the story arc of Big Boss in MGS sends a strong message about PTSD and the other mental anguish that comes with conflict. The creativity behind the presentation of the game itself can be used to further both the understanding and research into issues such as mental illness, ethics and morality, and in general, a deeper exploration into the human condition. For many, including myself, gaming is an escape from the pressures of the real world. After a long day at work or a stressful experience, you can always whisk yourself away to Hyrule, your village in Animal Crossing, or wherever the hell the Shadow of the Colossus is set, and immerse yourself in the world. Video games have a unique way of drawing you into their environment. Some games achieve this through deep lore, others through stunning visuals, and others through sound design. Uncovering hidden locations and secret areas is as much exploration as is talking with NPCs and developing bonds with them across your journey. Exploration of a game's world doesn't just come in the form of travelling to different locations, but also from the utilisation of your imagination to enhance your experiences. It doesn't matter that the base you're trying to capture in PlanetSide 2 will most likely be under enemy control the next time you log in, you still put all your effort into capturing that point because you can imagine yourself as part of an enormous army, with each action you take having strategic effect on the theatre of operation. You can imagine what places such as Drangleic must have looked like before it was overrun by terrifying monsters, and you can even see your companions as more than just a collection of attributes and abilities, but you can see them as people with backgrounds, aspirations and emotions, which you explore across the game as you develop that relationship. Most games have an element of challenge in them, from killing or avoiding enemies and bosses, solving puzzles and riddles, or outperforming other competitors in a sport or a racing game. Gamers and people in general enjoy a challenge, and games offer challenges by the bucket load. Games like Dark Souls are notorious for being difficult and for punishing the player, but this doesn't act as a deterrent. In fact, I was compelled to play Dark Souls to put my skills to the test. And even after getting bodied time and time again in games, gamers persist and revel in the challenge. Indeed, a good end-of-level boss is a test of all the skills that the players learned up to that point, and beating that boss or clearing a difficult stage brings with it a great feeling of accomplishment and power. Even games with no enemies or bosses can still make the player feel powerful through this achievement. Paying off your loan in Animal Crossing or making enough money to get by in Papers, Please rewards the player for putting in effort into solving problems within the game. And just like in the real world, there are points where a character hits rock bottom, and it's up to you, the player, to work your way back up and save the day. The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess made me feel like a hero more than any other game. The amazing chase scene with this moblin was an experience that couldn't be replicated in film or books, as it put me at the reins and it was up to me to save the day and fight off the bad guys. Furthermore, facing and overcoming challenges in games can actually assist with overcoming different challenges in the real world. When I was facing off against the Titanite demon in Dark Souls, I was getting frustrated that I couldn't beat it. But after a while I learned that all I needed to do was back up, take a deep breath and jump back into the fray. After I took that simple step, I was able to defeat the monster easily. Whenever I am faced with a challenge in the real world, I can now think back to games like this and remember that if I just take a step back and breathe, I can overcome that challenge and even enjoy the difficulties it presented. If it wasn't for the connectivity of gamers themselves, the gaming industry would have burnt out decades ago. Gamers everywhere are keen to share their stories of triumph and failure in games, and even share these experiences with one another in multiplayer games. To this day, Halo 2 remains my favourite first-person shooter because of the great times I had playing it cooperatively with my younger brother. PlanetSide 2 is a lot more fun when you team up with a squad and all work together to capture a point or push the enemy off an objective. People are brought together by games, be it friends playing Mario Party on the one console, or thousands of people from across the world forming guilds and corporations in World of Warcraft and EVE Online. Gamers can connect over single-player games as well, comparing decisions and encounters along the narrative line. The gaming community is expanding at a huge rate, with today's Joe and Jane blogs becoming tomorrow's new indie dev, with a fresh take on an old idea. Gaming culture is genderless, and it does not take into consideration ethnicity or sexual preference. Most of the time you won't even know your teammates' real names, and that's fine. It doesn't matter that the person you're playing Risk of Rain with is 15 or 50. It doesn't matter that the person who's just captured the flag is an Australian or a German. And it doesn't matter if the person who just KO'd you with a 30-hit combo is a man or a woman. The only thing that matters is that you enjoy games. And sure, you're going to get those few people who grief and are a nuisance online, but they're few and far between, and the wider community won't condone those actions, and they're not conducive to a fun environment, which is what gaming really is all about. So what am I trying to say with all this rambling? Basically, I'm saying that gaming is an important part of today's society. You'd be hard-pressed to find someone who hasn't heard of video games, let alone tried one or two. Gamers are a diverse and positive group of people, and gaming is going nowhere but up. What started out as a simple collection of black and white pixels playing ping pong is now a multi-billion-dollar industry. And finally, video games are indeed a form of art. Anyone can try their hand at making a game with a message, or even just making a game that's fun. But what is most important about art is that people should be allowed to express themselves. Sure, there are going to be games that offend people, but stamping out the game just because you disagree with the content is not going to solve any problems, as playing through a game someone's invested their time and part of their soul into grants a unique experience into their life. Games are here, and they're awesome. With each new year, new games come out from AAA companies and indie devs alike, pushing the boundaries of what's possible with technology and game design, and most importantly, it brings people together. I am the Amoeba Bait, and I hope you've enjoyed listening to my ramblings, so have fun, challenge yourself, and keep your mind open to new and creative ideas. Thanks for watching.